something people are scared of large business for some reason. They see it as somewhat similar to big government, big business, right? Small business, now that I can support. Big business, not so much. You know, the problem isn't big business. The problem is when the big business is in cahoots with the government, and you know, they get these bailouts and they get these special tax breaks and credits, and they get special laws that decrease the amount of competition, right, to keep new entries out of the market. Okay, so I don't differentiate between the two. What would I do to keep businesses in Maryland? You know, it's important that you don't just keep businesses in Maryland. These businesses have to be economically viable, right? If you prop up a failing business, you're not doing anyone any favors, right? So if a business needs to go, it needs to go. The most important thing we can do is just create an even playing field, okay? Like, we have all these liquor stores in Maryland. Why? Because they don't allow liquor to be sold in Walmart or in gas stations, okay? So if we, you know, had economic liberty, all of a sudden you could get, you know, wine, beer, liquor in Walmart, and all the liquor stores would go out of business. Now that would look bad. We had all these liquor stores go out of business, but consumers would be able to get, you know, what they want at a cheaper price. And these entrepreneurs who built these liquor stores, I guarantee you, they wouldn't go home and sit there and start accepting unemployment. You know, these are enterprising individuals. They would go build another business that would actually give us something else we need, right? Instead of having this regulation that creates something that's not really economically viable. So across the board, even playing field, economic liberty makes everyone's quality of life better.
Yeah, great. Better sense. We have teacher cuts coming in. How can we actually keep them from losing our good teachers here and bringing in worse teachers?
How to keep the government from losing their good teachers. Because the good teachers will still exist.
Yeah, they will.
They may go to a private school, but they'll still be educating kids if they're good teachers and they love teaching. So, I mean, then the question, you know, do we want the government to keep the good teachers, or do we want the good teachers in a for-profit environment? I don't see why them teaching in a private institution or, you know, somewhere else is necessarily a bad thing. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that our public education system is severely broken. The reason is they're not trying, you know, who is the customer, right? Who is the customer of public education? Is it the parents? Or are they looking up to try to please the principal, the schools, you know, Board of Education, the superintendent, the governor, the government? Are they trying to please the government, or are they trying to please the parents? Okay, you look at it, the way the incentives are set up in private education is the parents pay tuition. So you got to keep those parents happy. The way the government schools are set up, the government pays tuition. So you got to keep the government happy to keep your funding. So, you know, knowing those two situations and those two different systems and set of incentives, I think it's pretty simple to see which one is superior. However, you know, some people would say, well, I don't trust my neighbor to say what is good for their kids. People are dumb. They don't know what's good for their kids. I know what's better for somebody else's kids. I mean, just when I say that, you see the fallacy in that argument. So I think, you know, parents should be the ones that drive education, not the government. Obviously, the government's going to teach kids things like the government is important, and without it, we would all be, you know, running around in some sort of chaos. But that's not really the case.
Okay, now would you be actually in favor of getting rid of the standardized testing across the state then?
Standardized testing across the state. I mean, whether you do government education one way or you do government, is this across the state as far as public and private schools? Okay. First of all, I don't think the government should tell the private schools what to do because they don't even give them any money. So they shouldn't tell them what to do. As far as the government testing their own schools, things happen like teachers teaching to the test, and then the test gets watered down, or say the governor or someone else wants to look good that year, you know, they can arrange for the test to be changed. The incentives aren't there, so there is no way to fix government education when they're looking up at the government instead of at the parents for the funding. There's just no way to do it. I mean, you could throw 15,000 standardized tests in there, but then they'd be spending all their time testing. It's just not a sustainable model.
Well, Mr. Walker, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
We appreciate it. Now, to catch all his information, go to walkerforliberty.com, and for more information about Mr. Walker, come to our website, onthehillmedia.com.